Hello and welcome everyone back, I assume, to the match between Sparx and Lionscreed. I'm still catching still with Temporal, and we'll be bringing you the second match, which of course you guys will be watching on YouTube.
Definitely a couple of production issues. We miss you, Reed, and I want that on video.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but now we move into the second match of the
Definitely,
day.
We're carrying on. On the right side of the bracket, we have, well, rather on the red side, we have Sparx Esports, and on the blue side, we have Lionscreed.
And the thing is that on paper, this should be a clean stomp for Sparx. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The expectation coming into this match is that Sparx are just going to absolutely demolish the side of Lionscreed. However, this is where it gets interesting because that leaves room for upsets.
It does leave room for a couple of upsets. We are on to pick and ban. So we do have Lionscreed's new-ish roster coming out on the blue side, and Sparx's very, very similar roster on the red side of the bracket.
And I believe Lionscreed are playing with an emergency substitute in the support position. Papa is going to be taking down towards that role. He plays a lot of Blitzcrank and Karma, so I probably expect the latter of the two to be more picked. But as we go into the bans, Shyvana, Kalista, both seem to be more targeted at specific players rather than many bans.
Yeah, Kalista is a decent takeaway here on the red side. Shyvana does have to be taken away by a blue side unless you want to opt into a very difficult R1, R2 pickup. I currently coach a team that has a Shyvana, not one trick, but very strong Shyvana player, and it never ever gets through pick bans. The character is so close to being meta at the moment. And I think you mentioned the Blitzcrank taken away here from Fafa.
Yeah, and Varus as well. Desrum is not going to get his hands on that today. Ezreal will be the last ban from Sparx, so this more of a meta ban, however, that does leave Aphelios broken. And I don't think there's any reason why Lionscreed wouldn't pick it up.
So, over the last week, we have seen the Ashe adaptation into the Aphelios. Ashe has a pretty good time into that character, both as AD carry and support, but instead, looks like Sparx might be opting in for the Ziggs lane. Instead, it'll be an R1 Corki here. Blind for Nafkiller, and the Karma taken away by Guarding You means that Lionscreed will be off some comfort, but otherwise not too groundbreaking.
Yeah, there's first two picks from Sparx, definitely just standard blind pickable champions. Oh, actually, that's why you never talk about hovers, because we're just gonna get debated.
That's way better. I hope.
Why is it way better?
Sparx can't be catching this, because I suppose we're not streaming, but Ashe is definitely the response here into Aphelios as support or AD carry. It can play support to things like the Wukong as well, provide that ranged lane presence. It is just such an effective answer for the Aphelios. If you really want a professional education on why, do check out the LCK VoDs for Genji versus Sandbox. It was slightly disgustingly one-sided, despite Sandbox's recent comeback. It looks like we'll be answered with a Nautilus for some all-in presence for the Aphelios in the bot lane. It's a reasonably standard, reasonably vanilla lane. It does allow backwards and forwards play, and Volibear blind in jungle or top lane here for Lionscreed.
And the best thing is it could be flexed. That means that Lionscreed, they aren't revealing all of their cards.
Definitely not. Picking a counter into this Volibear just means they have one of the top 4 junglers in the game instead of one of the top 4 top laners.
That's a Morgana now.
That Sparx. Morgana.
I would expect that to go into Guarding You's hands.
Yeah.
Especially into the Nautilus.
So Morgana has an okay Syndra matchup after level 6. So, I mean, the Corki is there, so it's not really flexible. But yeah. Indeed, it can create some shenanigans. Morgana top, a thing of competitive in old, probably not so much these days. And we'll see Orianna taken away here. So defending Nafkiller in the middle. Orianna pretty good at upsetting Corki. Maybe a Syndra ban away would be beneficial as well.
Yes, Syndra, or I believe Azir is also a champion that is played quite frequently by GMX. So Azir probably is what Sparx want to leave open. Get that Corki into Azir, no one does anything. Everyone farms for 30 minutes. And then we might see some League of Legends. It's a Twisted Fate. That's an interesting ban. I feel like I respect it.
Twisted Fate, pretty good into the Corki. Just trades pretty evenly with him, but then it rotates faster, demands. So like Corki can have the setup with the package, and I'd probably expect that Unforced Error to go through this game. But before Corki can arrive with the package, he has to base. Twisted Fate can already make a play on the map. So those cooldowns a little more effective as long as they are available. Jungle bans here for Lionscreed in the second half. Does mean Antero won't be on anything that can dive too deep. Aphelios clearly wanting a little bit more protection here. No Ragnarok, no jumping up and down with a Rek'Sai. Does mean that Antero will be the R4 blind and will be looking towards Jarvan.
I think he will. It is a pick he played a lot.
No,
but
we've been baited. We've been baited.
Yeah, they did. I mean, Zac as well. I like it. It provides engage for Sparx, something that they don't really have outside of the Ashe Arrow.
Definitely. It means they can find Aphelios even through multiple members, and then with Ashe Arrow can lock him down for even longer. It likely adds some much needed magic damage against the Volibear here, as building both resistances is pretty key to keeping his health pool high. Azir into the Corki.
So the mid lane matchup, we already know all about it. You just farm.
So well characterized. The Azir does have some advantages, but Corki has his spikes where he can try and fight back, strike back, so to speak, at levels, I think 9 is the current biggest one. I think level 5 works as well, but it has been a little while since I've had to watch it.
This is pretty big because I Have No Vision is a hard Nunu main. He plays a lot of it, and Sparx, they must have known. They left it open probably because they want him to pick Nunu. And really the question is, why? Because Nunu is such a strong ganker. I don't think mid lane is that gankable for the side of Lionscreed, but if I Had No Vision can get a couple of solid kills to his team, then Lionscreed suddenly could be looking to contest against Sparx.
Definitely. So I don't dislike the Nunu too much, but it is quite vulnerable to Zac, who can hold some easy CC for a Nunu that is trying to channel absolute zero. Morgana can defend any one person from it, and of course Ashe has the biggest off button in the world. That enchanted crystal arrow. Bad Pie might be a little bit vulnerable, but can always block things away with the riposte. So they'll look to instead manage this Nunu through cooldowns instead of picks and bans. Importantly, Volibear, a huge threat up there in the top lane, does have some pretty dicey duels with Fiora. It will be a bit of a, I don't want to say fiesta. It'll be a bit of a intense fight up there in the top lane. So Volibear and Fiora very 1v1 one-sided. As soon as someone generates an advantage, expect to see it get out of control really quickly. I'd like to see Jez pick up the Bramble Vesta up here, make Fiora that little bit more untenable, a little bit less of a lane monster. GMX will have to try his hardest here in the Corki Azir setup and just generate that small advantage we see Azir gain throughout these lanes. At the highest levels of play. And of course, the ticking time bomb in the bot lane. Registern's Aphelios should be managed by Desrin's Ashe here. However, there is always that threat. Even when you're like quote unquote counterpicked, it doesn't mean it's 100-0. It means that Aphelios just has to play to his win condition that bit more. Make sure that Desrim can't push him out of this game. It means managing those all-ins perfectly with Farpa's Nautilus and making sure that he can hold the Aphelios distance based on the guns he is using and to get the maximum efficacy out of this pick.
And this is where I Had No Vision. Gotta watch him out, because you mentioned the all-ins, and all-in becomes infinitely easier when you have a Nunu in your jungle that's running from the lane to help you out. And I feel like when I look at where those junglers will focus, I can see a lot of benefit for Lionscreed of trying to focus down in the bot lane. And on the other hand, Sparx, if they can get Bad Pie on that Fiora ahead, he has the potential to 1 versus 5 this game.
Definitely. It will be hard for Bad Pie to go like the full Golden Road and 1v5, as he a bit of a pain in the butt for Fiora to deal with throughout team fights, but definitely wants to get ahead, definitely wants to control one lane at any one time and draw multiple members and make sure Sparx can take a fight with the Zac at a numbers advantage. I think you're right with I had no vision into bot lane. Keeping this Aphelios alive and in the game will be a difficult task. I'm not 100% sure how much Desrim has practiced the style of Ashe required to beat Aphelios, so we'll have to see how that one goes. Will be a matchup to watch for sure. I'm pretty interested in when Antero is going to start here. Getting vision on Nunu does stop the vertical jungling. That makes him such a threat, able to take away an opponent's buff before they can react if they don't suspect it. So we'll have to see what they plan out here and whether vision goes at level 1. Kachka, who do you like?
I mean, level 1, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Like, I genuinely don't really know that much how to answer that question. What I can say that I definitely like is if any of the junglers manage to hide their start with, some clever vision play, then both of them have got some very interesting paths that they can get into the lanes. Mostly, so we have Sparx on the red side. That means that the cheeky path would be up towards the top lane, and I have no vision. He could get a cheeky path towards the bot lane. So I think that's what I'm going to be looking at in terms of early game vision.
Yeah.
So yeah,
those will be useful strategies. Both junglers able to clear without a pull, so laners could just abandon the jungle slightly early, check their lanes, make sure there isn't a delayed invade, and go straight into lane to keep that information private. We are just about to get loading in here onto the Rift for game 2 of should we call it Super Saturday? I think let's call it Super Saturday. This is the last game of our first round robin.
Oh, that is true.
First half. So this is it.
Yeah, Lionscreed actually still looking to pick up a win, which is going to be the most important point for them. They still need to get that W on the board, otherwise 0-7 in the first round robin, historically doesn't end well.
No,
for any team.
I think that's fair.
Unless you're Fnatic in groups.
Well, hey, when you've got such a superstar European roster, anything's possible. But yeah, conversely, Sparx looking to maintain their standings at the top of the table. Don't want to drop games, especially to the bottom of schedule. Even though they have made changes here on the roster, their position in the table does mean that if you start dropping these games that other teams have picked up for free, you will struggle as the tournament proceeds, as your strength of schedule gets much, much stronger, and you have to face off against increasingly difficult opponents. Be onto the Rift in just a second, and as I said, thank you very much, production. We are onto the Rift. Okay. Not too many interesting pickups.
Well, there are pings towards the bot lane.
Oh, yes. Both teams pinging forwards. I think it will be line of scrimmage from Lionscreed. So it will be on Fapa to look at that bottom lane. But guarding you is taking the aggressive outside of vision invade.
Right, Fapa's sitting in that brush. He spots out the invade straight away. Sparx, do they still keep going? Do they commit? The binding comes out, but it does not hit anyone. And Papa walks away, which gives Lionscreed the opportunity to set up vision in the topside jungle.
Really fortunate there that Fapa thought to ward the river brush. Does mean that his position further forwards means he can see south of the tribush and see Sparx coming. It's a really good check. Otherwise, he would have just sat in the tribush. I would have just sat in the tribush. I don't know about him. And wouldn't have seen the approach till it was far too late to dodge the dark binding.
Yeah, so well played here by Lionscreed. You don't want to be giving any leads to Sparx, because Sparx as a team, they have always played the patient game. They have almost always waited for their opponents to make mistakes. And when they see those mistakes, they don't hesitate. They strike straight in. And that's why whenever you're playing against them, it's crucial not to give them anything.
The way to play at the moment. Both top laners are faking some sort of leash. That fight especially will be approaching this lane slightly late. So we're looking to give information over. Desrim and guarding you have set up the cheese.
The the binding connects, however, not much more. Ooh, good size up there from guarding Yuki. Doesn't say from the dredge line. However, we mentioned I have no vision. He has 3 ganks in the falling. Guarding Yuki's in so much trouble. Burns the flash already. Ignited now. Can not pick up the kill. That's the first blood going over to Regastern. And Desrum cannot retaliate, or can he? Regastern is going low. One more to attack. Keeps him down. Desrum strikes back.
Definitely fantastic fast footwork there to get back in and punch the overextension from Lionscreed. Not able to leave after the 1 kill. I think tanking some minions might have been the decider there for Regastern. To be more careful. In the meantime, Bad Pie just making sure Jez is aware of his plan for this lane. Just another few vitals. It's going to be quite difficult for Jez to stay up here in this fashion.
Matchup early on, and this is the lane that I also have to keep an eye on. You know, I said that in the last game's top lane. Not much happened there, but this time with a champion like Fiora, that once she sets snowballing, she never really stops. It's even more.
Definitely, Jez looking for that storm.
Oh wait, look at GMX in the mid lane. He's just straight up clapping Nafkala in that 1 versus 1 trade. It might be a forced recall, though I believe Nafkala pumped his last potion, so he'll be able to stay in lane for 1 more trade. Although, the Bad Pie, he's taking so much damage. Jess, he's looking for the kill. Another vital ace-ball flash forward. Jess gets the kill, and Terrano, he comes in for some revenge. Can he finish up the kill? Yes, he can. And I have no vision, have no intention of continuing it.
Nunu not the 1v1 champion in general, although the healing is effective. Not much damage to deal with a half health as that.
Yeah, now with that said, technically all the kills were matched, but we do see Sparx going up ahead, and much of that can be attributed to the CS difference, especially look at the bottom. Desert has almost double Regastern's food score.
Yeah, so even though the kill was matched in the bottom lane, the wave was pushed up to Sparx' tower. So minions were alive from Lionscreed to be farmed by Desrim, while Regastern had to take a quick trip back to the base. It means that the advantage capitalized most on there. Regastern picking up the second Dorans to make sure he's not a complete minion in this lane.
Yeah, Nafkala avoids a gank in the mid lane. Wasn't too hard to do since there was that wall which followed out the activation way before that. Oh boy, that black shield from guarding you was disgusting. It means that Desrin, he does take some poke, but it's nothing detrimental. As another gank, I have no vision. He wants to go for the snowball, instead guarding you says no, thank you. Desrin still forced to flash away thanks to the dredge line. But Sparx bot lane overall managed to stay alive.
Definitely some more vision required, I think. It's not too difficult to track Nunu through his jungle. He does clear top to bottom and bottom to top every time with that incredible speed. So we'll have to see how Sparx manage, but they should be looking to do that throughout. Topside still looks like a bit of a stalemate. Jez has gone for the Executioners instead of the Bramble Vest, so that means he does have to attack to get that healing reduction down.
And look at Entero. He's moving down towards the bot lane. That could be a 3 versus 3. And Desrim and Regastern already 1 kill apiece of any of those 80 carries. Managed to pull further ahead. It could be what takes the scale. Yeah, I have no vision. He's going in behind. Look at Regastern. He's jumped on with the elastic slingshot, and Tero takes the kill. Desrim gets the second one, and Papa, he's able to flash away. Can he get the dredge line to the tower? He's looking for it, guarding you. Does he have the mana for the binding? Still holds on. Finally landed. The shield comes out. That's guarding you with a kill. Sparx pick up 3. They don't lose anything. That's the team that we want to see in the second half of the kill.
Definitely a fantastic work there from Antero. Even though he was low health, identifying that the cell division would not be able to be contested if he found the engage, and that was all they wrote for Regastern and Papa in the bot lane. Had no vision, still going, unable to predict that Antero had gone so deep in the backline.
And this really starts, I have to just jump with Sparx and Shona. This is where the game starts to get very worrying for Lionscreed. You have 2 kills on Desert Remote ID, and Tero is doing work. And if there is one thing that Sparx have demonstrated, is that the leads from one lane tend to spread very quickly to all.
Right, at this level, capitalizing a lead across multiple lanes is definitely an effective way to play the game. Looks like Jez will catch up somewhat in this top lane as Badfly shows the wave in. 3 calls, so that means I Had No Vision will not be able to capitalize on this top side. Should instead be looking for the bot side clear into Dragon Convert. Nunu are so good at taking those dragons away with the double smite. Hard to get priority in the bot lane though, as Desrim getting towards it, Ashe enabled, Helios disabled.
Yeah, with 2-0 and 1, those Berserker Greaves and Vampiric Scepter, he's gonna be, you know, about 3 minutes of his first complete item, maybe even sooner. Maybe I'm underestimating the amount of gold that Desrim is sitting on. But at this point, it's just only going to get worse, because Aphelios scales, yes, we've all seen the team fights, but so does Ashe.
So does Ashe. Definitely getting to the stage where she can get rune arms and fire powered auto attacks at 3+ members. Lionscreed. Like half the reason Ashe is such a good counter into Aphelios is that she has the lane dominance, and the volley makes it quite difficult for how Aphelios likes to play the lane through multiple gaps. But she has the power spike that sort of overlaps his at a slightly higher rate. So when Aphelios is weak, sure, Ashe is weak too, but she's not quite as weak. And then, of course, scaling up into the late game for both. And have you noticed the items in the top lane?
Now that you say it, I actually didn't before. I think Manamune Fiora is something I have seen before. I don't exactly know the theory behind it. However, no time for theory, because it's time for fighting, and Badfly is taking the worst end of this. Great jumped on by Jez, but still staying alive. He's now under his tower. As the camera switches back to the bot lane. No kills will happen today.
No kills will happen today. Badfly still healing quite effectively, as it's quite easy to get the first hit onto Jez before he can strike back. So the first vital still healing for full. I don't think the execution is calling here in the top lane. Fiora does have to hit you to heal.
Antero was smelling blood in this. However,
it was close.
It was very close indeed.
Deeper with this one. Enchanted Crystal.
It scores the goal.
Yeah.
As that's the binding of the Papa. Sparx are still going in. They want to force some kills. That's just coming out. But look at all of this damage. Desert wasn't even there. It is one back though as shut down. So 2 for 1 in favor of Sparx, and that is going to be quite a few plays donated to Desert, especially with the second wave now coming in.
Definitely, Antero unfortunately falling to the minions. That was the cost of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow going slightly wide. Didn't want to hand it over to you if it was going to be a complete whiff, but the force does come through, letting you flashing forwards, and Antero catching the elastic slingshot. Ultra used aggressively here doesn't mean they'll be able to time and get this wave perfectly gone. Dragon, in the meantime, was picked up for Sparx. So a 3k gold lead, first dragon on the board, and you know what? It's looking pretty good. This Ashe pickup is working fantastically.
It's doing what it needs to do, and Sparx are going to be perfectly happy with that. Now what I want to see them is... Now what I want to see them do... Oh boy, guarding! Gonna have his recall interrupted. No black shield, but able to look back. So back to my point. What I want to see Sparx do is try and get Nafkal or Badfly ahead, because those two players, they're still not really snowballing as hard as they can.
So, to have a Corki with a 20 CS lead at this stage of the game, that is a win condition. The Corki should not have the 20 CS lead, and meantime, in the top lane, Badfly won't be punished the way he maybe should be. Against this Volibear, managing to free hit and heal quite effectively, as Volibear can't always reply. Execution is calling only effective in the all-in. Meantime, on the mid lane, oh wow, my words, all over themselves. See Nafkal Valkyrie away.
Yeah, and that 20 CS advantage, I think, is going to be massive. But what did you want to say?
Importantly, the cull is nearly finished for Nafkal, so some investing gold will be coming back. It'll be more than 20 CS once that is finished. It'll be 180. Let's do some quick math. It's like
that is going to be 9 melee minions more than that.
9 melee minions. So let's call it a 12 CS lead.
About a cannon wave.
Officially. Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, well, Antero now moving towards the bot lane. He wants to keep snowballing Desert, which honestly I can't do anything about it. because
Sparx should know this is coming. DMX will walk over vision.
guarding you does get tagged by that snowball, but he doesn't really care too much. Desrim did pop the enchanted crystal out, though. Something that I didn't necessarily catch on screen, but you can see the cooldown. It was just barely used.
So this is a little unusual to be forcing this down here. Already too late for a Herald rotation. One was picked up, but I had no vision. Cross-mapped in the meantime. So I didn't like to instead wait till Dragon's a little bit closer. Maybe those cooldowns were used on rotations, so they'll be up in time to set up for it. Will be the Cloud Dragon here on second, so we'll be looking for a Mountain or Ocean Soul.
I like this from Lionscreed.
Definitely crack the middle turret. Not much point helping Jez or Registern at this time, and Tyr comes forward. Let's find it.
Yeah, he tries to stop the Herald, or at least get some pigs. The health will be slowed, but that is a few plates will alleviate some of the deficit that Lionscreed are in, and definitely help out GMX, because I feel like he has to be the hope for Lionscreed. Talking about Lionscreed of Registern, yeah, he doesn't have any hope left in him. That is a call for GMX down to the bot lane. Nice Emperor's Divide on the members. However, can he still jump away? Because he needs to get the hell out, and Napkilla able to take him out. But now in the front line, Desmond goes on a killing spree. That's 3 kills, I believe, for Sparx Esports. Top lane, no kills coming through, but you see unrelenting pressure from the side of Sparx.
Definitely pretty good. Oh, the enchanted crystal arrow.
I have no vision guarding you, has got the binding, good flash away, but Desrim keeps the chase. 4th kill, Rampage 4-0-2, and Sparx 5,000 gold.
So the enchanted crystal arrow coming up just in time to secure the Cloud Dragon by Antero in the background. We'll use that as that classic to dawdle along at low health for as long as he possibly can. Yeah, definitely fantastic play from Sparx. Even though GMX had the fancy feat, the shuffle wasn't enough on his own. Unfortunately, his teammates not in position to help him out. Registern still at the mercy of Antero, Desrim, and guarding you, I think. The lead here quite significant now. We will see the rotation up to the top lane. Bad Pie a little late on shoving this one out. But they should be able to meet the next minion wave and control the Rift Herald as the next major objective.
And guarding you, or as we call him, the Messiah of the Chevaliers. Hold the item again, and I really like it this game. Because Sparx in this position, they just want to run people down.
You Morgana mains and solo queues, build it first, destroy your opponents. It is just the way to do it. It is so effective on this champion.
And especially when you play into something as mobile as in the field moves. There is just nothing that you can do. Let's see if Jets can start.
It affords you so many options to be able to flash and make your flash ult better, or not have to flash ult for the more maybe ones. The Herald is spawning. We do see Napkilla now with a very large gold lead in the mid lane.
She's just disgusting, honestly.
So LC have sort of cheated and moved Registern through the mid lane.
That arrow to GMX, there is nothing that you can do once this hits. Antero finishes the chain, Napkilla finishes the damage, and Sparx cross-map they managed to combo to take down the opposing lane. Shirley out for the disengage, and Antero sidestep the border.
It's so effective, as it always has been at the times it has been in the game. Oh, I was gonna say, GMX and Registern did a decent job of cheating priority in the mid lane there by moving the AD carry through. Both the carries aren't farming super effectively, but it means Napkilla has to retreat under his tower. And it did allow them to get into the river, as we saw, but the enchanted crystal arrow puts paid to it.
Now, nice to pose the case from, away from the ultimate. Will burn the flash as well, so the escape is being...
Unfortunately, a cross map for a single kill. Maybe not worth it when the wave is all the way over here. Instead, it looks like Lionscreed will be choked out at this stage. A 7,500 gold lead at 16 minutes. Not what they want to see. This makeup roster with emergency subs make the most of a game against our second place roster.
And I actually really wonder how far ahead is Napkilla from this wave, because he's 3-0-1, almost 40 CS ahead, and oh boy, that is that is the same lead as between Desrim and Registern.
Yep. It's So between the cull, between the CS lead, and between the kills picked up in the bot lane, and we registered, that will be a really, really large power spike for this push.
And I feel like that just shows, you know, for Nafkala, I think of him as probably one of the best mid laners in SQ1. He's able to beat quite a lot of people in lane, but what this game shows is that he doesn't even need to beat you in lane to still come out ahead.
Yep, moving across into other lanes. Going for a blind spot. Instead, Desrim and GMX will trade skills. I had no vision here. Throwing a snowball into the river. Doesn't connect with anything this time.
That arrow, it connects again onto I have no vision because he indeed did not see that one coming absolutely by 15 seconds before Desrim goes unstoppable. And Sparx, they are playing the pressure perfect.
Definitely making these picks with Ash Morgana an important part of the mid game. Guardian U gets revenge for his recall getting cancelled. Second health will be popped in the mid lane. I don't hate this, but there is a root into bottom inhibitor here that looks far more juicy in my mind. Instead, Badpie will just keep this one near the tower. Make sure Jez has to keep auto-attacking away to not lose his infrastructure. Eventually, someone will have to respond to the Fury getting out of control in the spot lane. The Manamune doing a reasonable amount of work, stacking it up on these jungle camps. Guarding you gets hit first.
Here comes the ultimate good blast away from Jez. Enough though, manages to pop his ulti, and yes, it will be enough as Badpie and Guardian is gonna get out. But the scary thing is that Badpie is still scaling. He's nowhere near the strongest.
He's still scaling, and Jez has still got his flash, and Turo will make a quick escape there. Papa not willing to commit with the depth charge. So instead we'll have a bit of a reset, but now the weak side top laner does not have his flash. Badpie still has most of his kills.
The grand challenge will come out in a couple of seconds, hopefully. Flash in about, 2 minutes from now as Sparx beginning to attack that Ocean Drake. Once the Ocean Soul hits, just imagine the amount of sustain that Desrim will.
It will be absolutely awful. Desrim will not go down. Nafkala will be able to stay healthy through these long poke wars with Azir if he chooses to opt into that lane assignment. Guarding you will be nigh on invincible in fights as he dashes forwards, as if a stopwatch wasn't enough. How about a Morgana that he's even more efficient than Reddy does? Nafkala won't get anything off this package, but will help him do red buff a bit quicker. Make sure it resets at the right timer for next dragon. And otherwise, it will now be looking to face against this Volibear in the top lane. So lane assignment's a little disconnected for Lionscreed here. They've still got Volibear on the weak side, but no one here to match Badpie. Instead, yeah.
Send GMX in my opinion, because he has got the teleport.
So while True and while Baron is coming up, Jez's will be up relatively soon, and Azir can't really play weak side into this Fiora. The all-in prevention once is there, but otherwise you don't really want like the last hope for your team fight to be starved out on farm by a Fiora.
That does make sense. Red buff seems Nafkala, he just can't do it to him. GMX, no, he flashes into the arrow. Desrim gets him cross map, and that was
I think the super prediction there from Desrim. Jez still playing weak side, not having a great time.
Well, talking about Desrim, he's getting engaged on, but I have no has to flash out. Nafkala is on a rampage, Papa stack in the middle of the fray. Double kill, making it triple as Nafkala picks up his 6th kill. Sparx dominant in this game. Lionscreed that almost very hopeless.
We're demonstrating that so significant quality gameplay of just firing away, even on tanks, able to deal out so much continuous damage. So a tower for his troubles in the middle, and will retreat to this Baron. But yeah, that is peak quality gameplay. Desrim with the 9,000 IQ. Championship moves at GMX. No.
Up as well now for Sparx Esports. They are so insanely ahead, and really this is what I said at the beginning of the game. It's to be expected. Sparx, they are one of our top teams. They have had, of course, a mishap against Black Lion Academy, last week.
But the other top team, by the way.
Exactly, yeah. Like they literally lost his #1 seed, and they were winning until they lost. like in quite the literal fashion. No, like they were actually
some season 2 Dignitas specials. Like until they win, we will win.
Well, yeah, no, but they were actually...
It's a definite way to play the game.
Well, yeah, but what I meant is that Sparx, they were ahead of their opposition, and they were just genuinely... I feel like they were going to win the game. If Nafkalo didn't make the oopsie in the mid lane, that was Sparx.
GMX are in the same position. Don't get caught twice.
Yeah.
We'll manage to escape with his tail between his legs this time. It looks like Jez is reluctantly walking towards this bot lane to collect some of the wave, but it looks like Regoston's there first.
I feel like Sparx are just waiting. Actually, no, they have the hands over there. They're waiting for the waves to sync up.
Push 3 at waves. At the same time, I think if they kill the Azir turret after the melees go down, this is synchronized. GMX.
He was looking for it. He had the play in his eyes. You could see it. He definitely wanted it. Especially that Desmond doesn't have flash for the next fight. Something that should be kept in mind. If he's ever got out somehow, then he might be dead.
Okay, the synchronization does allow a free top lane take from Nafkiller, even though they are now desynced again. Unfortunately, Badpie not able to maintain it into Regoston on the bottom. Maybe like to have seen Badpie look for the dive. He's significantly far ahead, even with no kills. The Infinity Edge double dagger. Aphelios not exactly where he wants to be at this stage. There's a Blade of the Ring King and Muramana pretty effective for Badpie. We'll catch the wave in onto the next tower. Now we look for the same play again. Synchronized waves in top and bottom. Sparx looking to take this one slowly to the finish line.
Alright then, Badpie still the rest of Sparx. As you said, they are now in the mid lane, and can Sparx knock down the towers? They should be able to, but they seem to be having some trouble. Crashing all the waves.
I'd like to see Antero in the south jungle here, shadowing Badpie, able to move it back into the mid lane if he requires. Otherwise, it's getting a little more pressure.
Dragon's third engage comes in. Nafkiller blows him to smithereens before he even knows where to hit him. That is all of the
other lane.
Gone.
Yeah. Went between top and mid instead. Doesn't mean they'll manage to find that pick they were looking for, and that'll be the inhibitors, all 3, I imagine, as they rotate to the bot side. That does so much damage.
Definitely does. Look at that Antero bringing the 2 Lionscreed members together for some first damage. That one isn't there yet. Guarding you, he's going to be shut down by Jess. He's now flashing sorry, teleport from Nafkiller. He has got the package, goes right into the nexus between the 5 members of Lionscreed, and he does not give a damn.
So
inhibitor is
damage.
down. Sparx, dominant show of strength. They will not be stopped, not by anyone, not by Lionscreed, and Lionscreed themselves handed with 7 lost in the round. They're still desperately holding on, but there's nothing else to hold on to. Sparx, in 25 minutes, defeat Lionscreed.
Definitely a fantastic showing here. Nafkiller doing so much damage, Desrim and Guarding You taking apart what was pretty close to a pretty cookie cutter Aphelios composition. The Ashe so effective, so ready on it, changing at that last second in draft. And yeah, really well executed here for Sparx Esports. It's MVP time.
I mean, I started last time, so how about you start this time?
Oh, okay. You've caught me mid-segue.
Yeah, I did.
I think, well, Nafkiller might be the obvious choice. I think Badpie held up fantastically in the top lane on his own. Maybe not an MVP performance, but definitely not to not go unnoticed. I think Desrim and Guarding You were the real stars of the show here, facilitating that bottom lane. And Tiro did make it work with the ganks. Wasn't really consistent on those throughout the game. Did miss a few opportunities. I really like Desrim. Who do you like?
I think I'm gonna agree. As much as Nafkiller picked it up, last game we went with whoever started the snowball. So I think it only makes sense that we're consistent. And it was very much Antero playing through Desrim in the bot lane.
Yes.
But, you know, since we're talking about the MVP, I'm going to go with Desrim as well.
I think Desrim definitely the choice. Nafkiller did generate a huge lead through a fantastic neutral play. But I have had no vision was always there in the bot lane. And despite all this, Desrim and Guarding You turned around a more difficult, more risky situation in the bot lane and made it work in a way that allowed Nafkala to come down, collect some gold, and make it all work.
Yeah, however, this will be it from us, so thank you all for watching it. Of course, you're watching on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to get all of the regular Square One content, and yeah, I mean,
All right,
we'll
be
see
back.
you with whoever's game is next.
Definitely. We'll be back with our regularly streamed content in the weeks to come. And yeah, let us know what you think on Twitter at SQ1 League. This time it's Kachka and Temporal signing out.